Welcome to the Workshop Therapy Podcast. I'm your host, Andrew, and today I am podcasting by myself. I have been incredibly busy and haven't had time to schedule a guest, and so I'm kind of recording this one last minute, and unfortunately my regular co-host, aka my wife, has got a migraine, so she's been asleep for a couple hours already, thankfully for her. Anyway, I thought this was a good opportunity, though, to do a brief discussion about something that I've had on my list to talk about for quite some time now, and that is the technique of boiling down the problem. So one of the things about establishing effective goals is you need to identify and clearly identify what your goal should be. And so usually when you're setting a goal to accomplish something, you have some sort of problem that you want to overcome, whether it's a creative task or some other, life issue, lose weight or be more healthy or what have you. Anyway, so there's a 5-step process that you can use to boil down the problem that you're facing before setting your goals. So step number 1, summarizing and enumerating all the issues. So basically you kind of summarize the problem and you lay out what the issues are. Second, you look at what you have laid out and you identify the most crucial aspects that you need to do to accomplish or to solve this problem. For example, if you want to lose weight and one of your main issue is before going to bed, you like to eat a bag of chips and a bowl of ice cream. Not exactly the healthiest life choice, but let's say this is the issue, right? So this is the most crucial problem that you have in accomplishing this goal. So then you select your focal problem, what you're going to work on. So in this case, we're going to work on the eating chips and ice cream before bedtime. So I have a problem eating chips and ice cream before bedtime. Step 4 is now to change this problem into a goal. So the goal we may set for ourselves here is I'm not going to eat chips and ice cream before bedtime. That's a pretty big goal if it's a real problem for you. So why don't we say I'm going to eat my chips and ice cream at least 2 or 3 hours before bedtime. Or maybe I'm just going to eat chips tonight, not chips and ice cream, whatever it is. Make it simple, make it doable. And then finally, step 5, make sure you have a goal set for yourself and you agree with yourself on how you're going to accomplish this. So I've talked a while back about SMART goals and how it's important to have simple, achievable, realistic, and time-bound goals. All of these things help you achieve a goal. If you have this pie in the sky sort of, I'm going to be a millionaire tomorrow sort of goal, they're very hard to achieve because you have no clear path forward. So what you want to do in this 5-step process, as you're examining the problem you want to solve, is you want to make the goal simple, manageable, achievable. Set yourself a time limit. So I'm going to stop eating chips before going to bed by the end of the week or by the end of the month or whatever it is. Or I'm going to exercise, or I'm going to get out into the shop and do 5 minutes, whatever your goal is. And then you make sure that's an achievable goal for you. Set your time limit and you're off to the races. So yeah, I hope that makes sense. Boil down your problems. Summarize it, lay out all the issues, identify the most crucial issue, select how you're going to accomplish solving that issue, change the issue, the problem into a goal. And if you, especially step 5, if you have some sort of mentor or coach or friend that you can bring in to your goal to give you some accountability, that will go a long way to helping you achieve whatever you're trying to achieve. Hope this was helpful. A little bit shorter than normal. And if you'd like to leave a review, I'd love to see some reviews coming in. Share with a friend. all of that stuff. We've kind of hit a plateau on the growth of the podcast. It's kind of sitting at a level that it's been at for several months now, and it would really be helpful if you'd share it. Thanks to the patrons and everybody who supports the show. If you want to check out Patreon, go ahead and head over there. Links in the podcast description. If you have any questions, I'd love to answer some people's questions. Send them into questions@workshoptherapy.com. And should I ramble some more? Check out all the social medias. They're all linked. Go listen to the back catalog. All of these things would be really helpful. And we'll catch you all later. So if you found anything from this episode to be helpful and you want to reinforce it for yourself, I'd like to invite you to share it with a friend in the next 24 hours. That'll help reinforce it in your mind, and it'll help those around you, which is always a good thing. So thanks again for listening, and now I'd like to say thank you to all the amazing patrons of the Workshop Therapy podcast. You guys make the show possible. If you're finding the show helpful and you want to support it, there are a few tiers, including a simple $1 a month option to just say thanks. For $5 a month, you can get access to the patrons only feed that has a pre-show and a post-show, in addition to the regular podcast all in one feed. You all know that the good stuff happens after the official mics are off, right? If you can't support financially, I totally understand, but I'd love it if you left a 5-star review or told a friend about the podcast. If you have any questions or feedback, I'd love to hear that as well. Send it to questions@workshoptherapypodcast.com and I'll get it on the show. I want to say thank you to all the patrons of the Workshop Therapy podcast, but especially to the founding fathers, and they are Mr. Matthew Serio from Argiano Serio, Mr. Brad Harrison of Brad's Customs, Mr. Keith Drennan of Blackthorn Concepts, Mr. Eric Peterson of Overall Maker Works, Mr. Brandon Millichamp of Tectonic Creations, and the one and only the Grant Alexander. So a special thank you to the founding fathers, and thank you to everybody who supports and shares the Workshop Therapy podcast.